2, 3. Got it. We are up. And we are going to be live here. Live and in control. Bang, bang. All right, Pops, we're back. Like we left something.
We're back in the middle of the street.
Back like we left. Hey, so you've been up to a lot of streets. You've been getting a lot of places. Vacationing somewhere very nice and warm.
As you have.
Yes, but you're playing golf.
Yeah.
I wasn't playing any golf, y'all. And so I got to go to Jamaica with the family. And the Jamaica that I would say that, you know, you kind of taught, not kind of, you did. You taught me about Jamaica. You taught me how to do the grill. And we've been going back ever since and just going to the same place because it was so nice. So I'm not going to give them a shout out exactly because they don't pay me for a promotion.
But they should.
Right. For the exact resort. But anyways, it's beautiful. But the only problem was we went to Jamaica on the 4 coldest days of the year that it'll ever be. Now, granted, it was still like in the 70s the whole time. And we did still get to be on the beach and get some time. But it rained. It was a lot of wind. But, you know, it wasn't horrible or anything, right? It was still Jamaica. It was still beautiful. The people were still beautiful.
I think it was single digits in Nebraska when you were gone.
So that makes me feel better. It makes me feel better, right? But, yeah. And then you got to be up in AZ or down in AZ.
Yeah. For a little longer than you were in Jamaica, but that's retirement.
But you really love Arizona.
We do. We in the wintertime, it's great. We have a lot of friends down there. So we get to do a lot of great socializing. Cheryl and I get out and play some golf, some good meals. I mean, it's just kind of like chillaxing.
And I mean, it's just you living, but you're not in the cold.
We're not in the cold, but, you know, we stop in New Mexico and see some friends there, spend a couple of nights there on the way down. Just super people that, you know, we've had the pleasure of meeting over our life. And it's just... it's so great to reconnect with folks.
Yeah. You know, travel is something because I always think about how I always want to live at this island or I want to be in this place. But then I think about, do I like it so much just because I'm only here for a little bit? You know, if I move there, is it going to lose its allure?
All of the places that I have traveled to, I always want to come home.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's comfort maybe.
Sure.
You're comfortable with the people, with your home, surroundings. You know, I can be gone for a month, but then I'm ready to be home.
You're ready. You're ready.
I mean, and we've done some extended. You know, we've done some extendeds in Arizona, but, you know, I did the 21-day Alaska trip. And, you know, it's just always nice to be home. Sure.
At some point, you're ready to be home.
Home is where you hang your hat.
It is. I got many hats. But I tell you what, in Jamaica, we didn't stay long enough to want to come home yet.
Well, that's kind of always the allure, is leaving before you get completely full. Sure. Because then you have the thirst to come back.
Mm-hmm. Yep. No, that's the good stuff. That definitely is the good stuff. And I was listening to this financial advisor, and they were saying, you know, don't take the trip. Just put it all in the S&P or into the Berkshires B stock. Don't take the trip. You know, don't spend the $7,000 or $8,000 a year, you know, doing things. Just save it all or invest it all and, you know, watch your money grow. But then, you know what I was thinking again? I was like, while you're watching your money grow, you know what else is growing?
You're growing older.
You're growing older, and your kids are growing right in front of you. And while it's lovely and wonderful to take your kids on a vacation when they're in their 20s or 30s or whatever it is, how special is it to be able to do it while they're in their teens or while they're before that, you know? So I've always felt like those trips were very good investments, right? I don't have any money for them right now, but they're priceless investments in energy, time, companionship that we've, you know, the type of bonds that we make on trips, on family vacations is some of our fondest memories. It's some of the time where people are their happiest. And so I've never regretted a trip.
It's building great memories with your family. And we did some fun trips when the kids were young. Most of them were tied to my work trips, but they were still great trips to some really neat places.
Yeah.
Places that we can afford to stay.
Sure. Sure.
But, just pretty cool, pretty blessed to be able to do it. That's the amazing thing.
So if you get a chance if you're thinking about, should I take the vacation or should I, spend the extra money doing it? I say yes, as long as you're not, giving up the rent money or your mortgage money or food out there,
And you're not taking on debt to do it.
Yeah. Taking on debt's tough too to do it, especially because most people, when they take on debt, it's a credit card debt.
Yeah.
And that's a 23, 24 to 28% interest. And that's tough. There's no investment that's beating that. So, but if you can take that vacation, and another thing is vacations you don't have to go to Disney, y'all.
No.
You can go to really cool, fun places that make memories that are within driving distance as well. That's a big thing.
Yeah.
If you do something in driving distance, because
we did a lot of camping.
I haven't done the camping.
Yeah, we did a lot of camping when we had a little pop-up camper when Megan was little, and they're just great memories. It was all we could afford.
Sure.
But it's okay. And the neat thing about when we went to Jamaica is it was all inclusive when we took it the first time.
Yeah.
And so you don't have to worry about any other costs of stuff. Mm-hmm. You can eat, drink, and be merry, and have plenty of entertainment, and not have to dig into your pocket.
No, the value is great.
Yeah.
The value is great. The value is so good that you end up, hey, you know what they took off? They don't have to wear the no tipping allowed or the no tipping please pins anymore.
Oh, really?
Nobody wears them anymore. It's still not expected, but they don't.
Yeah.
I think it's not as, because it used to be kind of, you had to really slide somebody a tip if you wanted to give it to them. You had to be real.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now it's not as
except
controlled.
for butlers and housekeeping.
There you go. But now it's not as controlled. So, well, since we've last spoke on the podcast, there's been a new world. And this happens every time. I think every 6 months. It's like a new world. Again, 1984 just hits me so hard every time because it's like there's a new world, a new shift. Everybody forgot about everything from 6 months ago. And now it's just what's happening now, which is usually a completely different narrative shifted, totally 180.
Yeah.
What like what we've been saying, what the hell?
Well, we went from mass issues, even just 90 days ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about healthcare and healthcare costs. We're going to shut down the government because of healthcare costs and
Sure.
And
immigration with the healthcare and what they were going to get.
And then we get into this major ICE actions, which I feel horrible that.
So then ICE happened.
Well, it was going on, but it got worse because of Minnesota.
And didn't it get kind of like, wasn't it a ramp in ICE hires and things?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they just ramped up because more funding came. So they just ramped up. They got a lot of funding.
Mm-hmm.
Or ICE has a lot of funding. Ramped up. Okay, so then that happens. Then what else happened?
Well, they had 2 people get unalived by... in some protest stuff.
Okay, so that's still connected with ICE.
Yeah. And then, you had all the fraud stuff that really came out big time in Minnesota.
Okay.
But now
I think we touched on that.
Since then, it's Minnesota, it's Texas, it's California, it's Florida, it's Georgia. I mean, they're finding it kind of all over of the same type of fraud. Similar tactics. So probably somewhere they're all connected. Somewhere somebody's put together my guess is somebody probably put together a white paper of how to really do this effectively. And so multiple people were following it. That's just my gut. I have no proof of that at all.
And then we get, was there something else that happens then before now Iran?
Well, Iran's probably the next biggie. And we're starting into a midterm election cycle. So that's kind of in the heat of the moment of everything else going on, and there's a lot of political slobbering going on. I mean, I don't know.
So we had all of these things happen. Where do we start? Where do we even dive in with all of these new things that have came? Where do you want to start, Pops?
You know, I don't know. I mean, the ICE stuff, to touch on that quickly.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think there's lots of folks that say, well, that the Republicans killed their bill because of Trump of reforming our immigration policies, and it kind of got stuck, I think, because of the numbers of people that were in the bill, and that kind of killed it. Our immigration policies as a whole are not great. There's a lot of loopholes, a lot of wiggle room that administration to administration seems to interpret things differently, and we don't have any consistency because of that. But I think that's kind of a problem across our country because, we have states that say we're not going to follow this, and we have states that say, well, we're going to follow this to the nth degree, plus some. And the autonomy of the United States, I think, is really good in some of that. But then at the same time, it's very confusing to everybody, of what's, because everybody then has their own opinion. So now you have 500 opinions about the same topic, and we're just not very good about staying on the same page. So that's a problem to me, and that's kind of the immigration problem in a nutshell. We have a lot of illegal immigrants, or undocumented, however you want to say it, in the country. They are an expense to the country. Over time, I think they all become or I shouldn't say all, but most become a net positive to the economy. But part of the problem is so many of them, I see two big problems with it. One is they always want to send money home to their own country. And at the same time, a lot of them are on benefits. Even if they're here legally, they're here legally, but they're on benefits from the government. But then they're taking any of their extra money and sending it home instead of providing for themselves more, so they're not on government assistance. Because I think that's a problem just overall to our economy. I mean, if you take there's been numbers of like $800 billion leaving our country of wire transfers out to other countries because, they have a family member that lives here and they want to send money home to them. It's problematic.
When you say a net positive, can you explain that for the audience?
Well, I mean, statistically, if you look at it, by the time they pay into Social Security and pay taxes and those things, that's, many people will say that's a net positive, and that's the only thing really keeping Social Security and Medicare.
Net positive meaning that
they are leaving more money, they're paying more money into the system than what they're taking out.
Okay.
Now that's a tough one because when you're here undocumented, you don't have Social Security, so you're not putting money in unless you're doing it fictitiously under another Social Security number.
But basically, we're saying if you are to create the path which makes them documented and they can work legally and be a part of the system, then they become a net positive.
Statistically, that's what they said before.
And pretty quickly, I've heard.
Well, I think that's very true of many folks from Mexico and Central America. But when you get into around the world stuff, not as much. I mean, I saw some statistics where, and I don't want to pick on Somalians, but like 68% of Somalian immigrants are on government assistance. So they're probably not much of a net positive. But, I think part of our problem with the illegal immigration, to me, is a bigger issue because a lot of those folks are working, and they're working for cash, under the table, behind things. They're not being paid a very good wage, but they're not paying any taxes. Yeah. The employer's not paying into the system. Yeah. So it's a mess.
So I would say, something that I would say, for example, on something like a Somali immigrant, I don't have the numbers in front of me on what percentage of the population that they are. And I don't definitely have the number I'll just trust the 68, let's say 68% are on government assistance that are legally here as documented immigrants or expats. Then when they are, how much of a percentage of the population they would be in America, which I would assume would be
Single digits, be my
well,
guess.
not even, well, I would assume not even single digits. I bet we
Yeah,
could find
we
it
can
really
look.
fast. But I would assume, a percent of a percent. They be in the other category, I would assume, in the whole U.S. population, compared to just the average person here, like a white person that would be on assistance, because we know the overwhelming majority of people that are on assistance in the nation are white people. But I feel like I feel like those things are taken more into account when it's other folks, and I think it's usually folks that aren't as familiar to us. I think that's part of sometimes human nature. I was sitting down with a Somalian gentleman. He's a doctor and a business owner and an entrepreneur just last week, and he was saying how he has family members that are in Minnesota literally afraid to just drive to the store. And these are people that own stores, that are great business people and all these things. And then when we find out the fraud in Minneapolis, the kingpin and ringleader and brains of the operation wasn't a Somali.
They were just mules.
But it was a white woman.
Yeah.
So, but for some reason, most of the negative connotation and the, I think, unwarranted or that, that inadequate attention gets put then to that, immigrant group or expat group of people.
Yeah.
Now I wonder, I always wonder why that happens. And of course there's different reasons. But when it comes to, again, those people that are trying to become then a net positive for the country, I guess I feel like I've always been taught that that's what America is.
Yeah, and I
That's
get
the place where you can have an opportunity to be a net positive.
and I think the opportunity is, to me, is to try to come in the right way legally, come through ports of entry, fill out paperwork before you get here, do all those things. But I get really frustrated when politicians get up there and say, well, if we don't have these immigrants, who's going to pick our crops? Who's going to clean our hotel rooms?
Sure.
Well, that's just, that's what keeps the wages down, because they'll work for less. And they don't understand that they're working for less because it's a lot of money to them from where they came from. Yeah. And I just think that's wrong. I mean, I think that's one of the things that holds down our wages in our country is how we handle immigrants.
A couple things. And I definitely don't claim to have the exact answers to those, because it's a tough one. And I feel you. And it kind of feels dirty when people say, right, oh, what are we going to do? Who's going to clean for us? Who's going to, right? That sounds like not what you want to be associated with, right? And I dig you, Pops. Now, when it comes
sounds horrible. It sounds inhumane.
It's just weird, right? Yeah, no, I feel you. Now, when it comes to so I'm all with you there. Now, I want to explore a little bit of, I feel like it's such a shame, or it's just such a, I guess you call it unlucky, to be born in 2026 instead of 1920, when there were no immigration laws. Or, excuse me, if you are from a certain place.
Yeah.
So there's immigration laws if you're from China, or immigration laws if you're from Mexico, but again, no immigration laws if you're from Europe. And those are just the truths of it. But unfortunately, right now, the truth of it is, being born at this time, there are these different immigration laws, when there were virtually none before, when we had literally show up at Ellis Island, as long as you didn't look sick or weakly, or too sick or weakly, then you could come in, right? And
Well,
then you could come in and you could work hard and you could pioneer and you could homestead. And
well,
you
I
could,
think that's how we got all the different spellings of people's last name that are the same. Because people
Yeah.
at Ellis Island, they didn't know how to.
So, but what I'm saying is, it's always tough when it says,
1790 was the uninformed rules established for citizenship coming to the U.S.
Sure. Now, when it comes to actual letting people in, there wasn't real immigration reform that was really stopping a certain amount of people that they gave a cap on how many people could come from Europe.
Yeah.
Until it was
Well,
late.
the
It was late in
naturalization,
the 30s.
the Naturalization Act of 1790 allowed free white persons of good character become citizens after 2 years of residency.
Sure. I know it took at least to the 30s until you could actually, to where like, hold on, this is an amount of number we're going to let in and things. But
Yeah, they started capping it somewhere in there.
they capped it somewhere in there. But so how, it's tough sometimes, I think, from other people's perspectives of saying, it was okay for your ancestors' head start to come here and take advantage of America and be a part of America, but it's not okay for mine or for me. And that's tough sometimes, I think, from other perspectives. Now, that being said,
1921.
1921 for
The
some
Emergency
caps.
Quota
For
Act.
quota, and then what did they quota it at? Probably
350,000.
350,000. So, and I wonder what that means, like from years before.
Percentage. Well,
Yeah, your
with that
percentage of
percentages
America.
yeah.
But again, and I know we let in a certain amount in things, but I think those things of the advantages of who gets to be a part of America, and it's great. Of course, we don't want. I don't think anybody wants dangerous people or bad people or whatever we'd call vicious people, right, in the country.
Criminals.
And I think that a lot of people could get behind the notion of we're going to use ICE to go and track down the hardest of the hardest criminals. We're going to start and we're going to get these criminals. We're going to get them out, the rapists and the things. And I think a lot of people could agree with that. A lot of people could be on board with that.
And I think,
you remember those stats that we saw the one time that over 70% of the people that were being detained and then taken into a facility by ICE had no criminal record.
Well, they had no criminal record as defined.
Other than like speeding tickets and stuff like that.
But
like no like real criminal record.
Well, they didn't have any violent criminal record that was the big push originally, was the violent criminal record. Well, rape wasn't in that number. Child molestation was not in that number.
I don't know about
DUIs were not in those numbers. No, I actually just
think those
read it and listened to it.
I think that would be
this week.
I would like to, and we'll have to double check on that, because I think a lot of times I see and hear a lot of speaking points just being said that would seem like, but I can't say for sure because I don't have it in front of me. I guess I haven't researched to make sure that rape wasn't included in violent acts of immigrants. But that sounds like, like a CK talking point or something. That just wasn't correct.
That was a congressional hearing.
That would have to be the worst thing in the world. Like that would have to be the worst reporting. But I've seen worse out the government, Pop. So
I know.
I've seen worse. So it definitely could have been a thing. But I think we've seen experiences of people that were, of course, not close to be criminals. They didn't even have a tip that these people were big, line hard criminals. But it seems like they're doing a lot of profiling.
Well, the one thing about it is anyone that was charged and convicted of criminal activity, they were in a jail cell or in custody at either a city, county, or state level.
Mm-hmm.
And the issue is some of them would do their time, and then when they got done with their time, they released them back into the interior of the country instead of contacting ICE and saying, hey, we have an illegal immigrant here. They've served their time.
Mm-hmm.
We need to turn them over to you to be deported.
Do you know why, if someone does a violent act in America, is it just not automatically you get deported?
No, it's not. I mean, it's deportable,
Mm-hmm.
but it really comes down to that local, state, city government has to contact ICE to come pick them up because our systems aren't tied together very well that way. And so to me, that becomes kind of the problem. I mean, when you hear about
So the systems aren't tied together.
the systems aren't
Good
tied
enough.
together, they have to communicate.
Do you think that maybe one of the first steps, maybe if we want to really make things safer, right, for immigration, would one of the first steps be to tie the systems together better, that now we see ICE can show up to a situation and say, nope, police stand down, we're feds here, we do what we want. And so couldn't Trump pretty efficiently tie these systems together better? And he could have even used Elon with all of his tech genius, right? But hear me out. Tie these systems together better, and then make an executive action to force when an undocumented person gets arrested for whatever, even if it was any crime, but for whatever high level crime, whatever, that it automatically just streamlines to ICE.
So it would be,
They could definitely do something like that.
but it's pretty easy right now for them to just locally call. But we have cities that are sanctuary cities that say we're not going to work with federal immigration at all.
Yeah, but so instead of going to those cities and throwing like an army force at it and causing a bunch of conflict, they could handle it really behind the scenes and get the worst of the worst right away.
And that's
But wouldn't that be kind of like smart and efficient and actually more like getting more
humane
safe
and everything?
Well, not only
Absolutely.
that, but more safe. Like we get it right away. We get that person that did something. There's no chance they get back on the street.
It's what's happened in Omaha.
But then wouldn't it also be like that would be a campaign fulfillment, right? Actually getting dangerous people off the streets. But what I'm saying is, okay, I think I'm pretty smart, right? But I don't think that I'm the smartest person in the world. And I think that there's probably plenty of dudes sitting up in the Trump's little circle that could have thought of this a lot faster and made this happen within day 30 or 60 of his presidency happening.
See, I don't think that
To where it'd be amazing efficient.
I don't think our systems, all of our data collection systems from the federal level, I don't think all of them are capable of it. I mean, that's kind of part of the problem. I mean, they've been trying to upgrade the IRS computer system software. They've spent hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars, and it's 11 years past due when it was supposed to be done.
So I would think like, then why wouldn't, I guess that would be something that would actually move the needle and that could actually be used, that we could have used Mr. Elon Musk and his genius people for, instead of paying for more in this Doge thing than what we actually got out of it.
Yeah, well, the
Like, I
problem
mean,
was
we could have killed it at a level like that, but some systematic level that really could have killed it. And I'm just saying, I'm not.
but both parties wouldn't get on board of doing it. That was part of the problem because they didn't want somebody else to see that data.
But both don't have to, when the president can just literally say, hey, here's my executive order. We're going to talk to each other like this now.
Do you know how many lawsuits there were during that time? I mean,
There's a lot got able to be pushed through. I'm
lots of
saying
things.
it seems like
I know.
what's
I
that
know.
called?
It's common sense.
Yeah, but always the priorities that they make seem to always be, a little different. And I think that's what a
crazy.
lot of people are asking for, right? Is how could this still be done better? It isn't like it's over. It can still be done better while fulfilling a campaign promise over here for this side, and then still doing it in what seems like a more moral and just way, if you are going to say someone can be illegal.
But when we talk about just that data, so I can't even remember the year, but it's had to have been 15 years ago when the federal government said, okay, you need a license that has this insignia on it to work as a federal identification.
Mm-hmm.
Our state, Nebraska at that point, went to a third party, and that's why your driver's license gets mailed to you now, because it's actually, I think it's in Texas that's where the third party was.
Mm-hmm.
And it has that little star on it.
Yeah, that's
so when
the
you go
real ID.
When you go to the airport, that works as the real ID to get you through. But there's like 20 states that have never done that.
Shout out to Christy Noam.
I mean,
So, no.
This was way before.
No,
this.
I know. I'm just saying, because when you're in the airport, there's this big screen of Christy Noam saying, make sure you have your real ID because it makes it easier for government to track you and da-da-da. But it's just funny to me because how, again, it's a 1984 moment where you have all of these, I guess, conservative talking points from a Christy Noam talking about how, the people's rights and states' rights and the government doesn't need to be in everything and federal government can't make you do these things, and even things I agreed with her on with COVID stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden now she's on the screen saying, just listen to your government, obey, get your new identification card with the chip in it that's going to be able to track your vaccines and your records and your money and what you're going to do.
Well, there's no chips.
Right? But... No. But like, that's just how it feels, right? That's how it feels. That's how it sounds.
So the Real ID Act passed by Congress in 2005.
Yeah.
20 years ago.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, that's crazy.
No, they've been saying that this is going to happen. It's been progressively going. But now, I just think it's wild that now the talking point billboard person for it is Christy Noam.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, if Biden, or excuse me, what's her name? Kamala. If Kamala would have won, it would have been whomever Kamala made Homeland Security person, I'm just saying, it would have, whomever it is, it would have been the same person saying the same script, doing the same thing, no matter if it was left or right. I'm just saying, I think it's that alternative, bizarre universe where now it's Christy Noam telling you just to bow down and do whatever the government's saying with this new identification form, which is just wild to me. But it continues to happen, right? Like if we hop to Iran, Mr. Trump, what was he constantly tweeting about Obama? He's a bad deal maker and will go to war with Iran. He's going to bomb Iran to get, the attention from how bad he's doing at this or how bad the economy is. Or he's going to bomb Iran to keep it going before midterms so that he'll have a good midterm. Like, all these tweets that never die. And now all of a sudden it's switched again to, and the run on the promise of no more forever wars. No more wars. I'm stopping wars, not starting them. And now we have this.
Which is insane. I mean, part of it I understand. I mean, I get the probably don't want them to have nuclear weapons.
For the last 25 years, we probably didn't want that to happen.
Well,
it just has. I'm
just
just
saying. It goes back to 1979. I mean, the whole issue with Iran started in 1979. And I mean, Jimmy Carter was president then.
And we
there's a whole lot of millennials that don't even know who that was.
Exactly. But our hands are all into that regime change as well. And the problem is, gotta sneeze.
Bless you.
And the problem is that we continue to think we can regime change our way into exactly what we want. But maybe we can, because maybe works. Exactly what we want is the chaos, Pops.
It never.
But it's working perfectly if the plan is the chaos.
If the plan is the chaos and to keep the industrial military complex running, yeah, I guess it works. But it's ridiculous.
And it's
we have not had a regime change anywhere that I can think of that has turned out as a positive democracy.
There has to be one that's worked. I want somebody to comment, because I'm under the impression that, like, a broken clock is twice once a day.
South Korea,
but wasn't it already like that?
Yeah, it was already
already there, right? It was split,
communists
right?
that wanted to take it over, and that's how it ended up being North and South Korea.
I thought so, but I don't. But beyond that, right? I was asking people this the other day. I said, is it good or okay for a nation to bomb another nation if it brings about more personal freedoms to, say, women who are holy? And, I've been thinking a lot more too as I've been, praying more and really getting more into faith. And when, when you're listening to people saying like, Islam believes that women are holy. And so I think to myself, is it good that we go and bomb somewhere if it's going to bring more freedoms to women, or if it's going to bring more prosperity to someone or to a nation? Is it okay to cause death and destruction in the name of bringing something good?
If it ever happens, I mean, we've seen it in my lifetime. We've seen it go the other direction. Well, Venezuela and Iran both were prosperous nations at one point. Mm-hmm. Venezuela was, I think, the wealthiest nation in the world at one point. Mm. And then ended up in a dictatorship, and all of a sudden people can't eat. Mm. And so I don't know. I don't know the right answer. I mean, I really don't. I mean, I struggle with it. I also will be the first to say that I don't have all of the data. It was just like, somebody said, well, we're not going to have boots on the ground. Well, bullshit. We've had boots on the ground in Iran since probably the 80s. CIA's been there mapping things, taking care of things. Mm-hmm. It's no different than, no boots on the ground in Ukraine. BS. We had boots on the ground. I'm sure we had CIA and special ops people there keeping an eye on stuff. No different than Venezuela before we ever went there and picked up Maduro. We had people on the ground there. I mean, I'm not stupid. I mean, they're not going in there blind.
Sure.
Somebody mapped out exactly, Maduro. I mean,
that was like an hour. They were in and out, right?
Yeah, they mapped out that compound and knew exactly what was going on and where he was, and they probably had somebody inside giving him information for money. Plus, we had people on the ground there.
Look, if you ever seen the movie Belly, I imagine that hit in Venezuela, like the opening scene of Belly. They just went they just knew what they were doing, just went to the club and just did it. But anyways, no, I feel you. And somebody else, I think I asked the teens that on the way, and they just responded a little bit saying that they just think there's always a different way or always a better way. What's a different way to encourage more of that other than bombing and killing? Because when you bomb and kill, you're always going to have that collateral damage of making that person that hates you.
Well,
I mean, you're making the next generation of people that, even though this was really, even if I didn't like my government right now, right? Like if I'm mad at Mr. Trump, if another country comes and bombs me or starts to come and threaten my safety, it's going to be really easy for me then to
turn against them and like Trump.
Be like, okay, now we in this together. All right.
I mean, it's been interesting to me, the people celebrating, at least the footage that we get to see, the people celebrating in Iran, and then people in cities in the United States protesting the action in Iran. I mean, that's just, those are so just
I've seen
weird
those
things.
too. Well, because just like any place, right, you have different things. Like, so for example, I have seen some celebration in some places in Iran, and I can't confirm, but I've also seen, of course, the majority of things I've seen is thousands and thousands of mourners of the Ayatollah or maybe of Ahmadinejad, and thousands of ladies in the full and in hijabs and everything, and from their cultural thing. And I always I feel like it's, I don't know, I really hate that. It feels like a lot of times I have to overly express like there's a difference between like Islam and Arab culture, or not even just Arab culture, but Iranian cultures specifically. So you see a lot of people dressed in Iranian modern culture, the way that their modern culture is, and the way that they're dressed, these ladies, and they're mourning and crying and just going crazy for, their supreme leader being killed, and for their government looking like it's in shambles. And so you see it from all different ways. And then the people that are protesting here, of course, there's a lot of different crowds.
When you see both of them here, you see people here protesting that you did this, and then there's people that celebrating, hey, you did this, and you just freed all these people. So it's just weird.
And there's different things, because if you're protesting because you're saying, I don't want any more American intervention in war, right? Like just like people protesting Ukraine. Like I don't care if it helps these people right now. I don't want to be a part of this. I don't want our tax dollars fighting again or going to war again. Or maybe, of course, some of them I think are ultra, what they would call themselves ultra liberal, whatever. And they're saying, you're inserting your dominance on someone else, which is also true. We are asserting our dominance on someone by these strikes, or are perceived to be dominance. But again, different people, of course, in that space want different things. And I agree. It is weird. It definitely is weird. But of course, most likely, if you're not in Iran and you're in America, you left Iran because you didn't want to be there, or maybe you were enemy of the state or against the state, just like
forced
people
out, or
just like people leave America. There's a lot of people that do run away from America, whether they're criminals or whether they're,
movie stars,
whatever it may be, or low key, what you would call enemies of the state. However, I'm sure that those people that left Iran and not looking back are very happy that, the government that they didn't like is going down. So, I mean, I can see that as well. What's next in Iran, I think, is the biggest thing, because if we cheer and get happy about this government going down, I'm just have the experience of my most recent experience of what I lived throughout my younger years of after high school, of seeing the regime go down in Iraq and nothing but worse things to follow.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of people that are naive to thinking that, you take down this government system in Iran and all of a sudden you get the utopia is what I think people think that it's going to turn into.
Well, it's not even.
But when does that happen?
Well, it's not even organized crime in our country. I mean, how many times have they taken down this big organized crime family? Mm-hmm. Al Capone's a great example.
Yeah.
Took him down. Well, so it just made another family stronger.
Sure.
The continuation continued. People beat their chest about it, but I honestly don't know the right answer.
And maybe it will go back to just, a really progressive leadership that then lets the people, whatever. I mean, I don't know what's right. I'm not saying I know what's right for people, but I'm just saying I think what most Americans want is to see countries turn into what America is, right? Or that looks more like what America is.
Well, I think that's what some people think of the ultimate utopic outcome should be.
Yeah.
Well, but people in other countries and other cultures don't want to live like America.
Yeah.
They want to
not always.
But they want to live safe.
Of course.
They don't want, their cities blown up. They don't want to be starting a World War III, because if we ever go to another world war, I'm guessing it's probably going to be checkmate. If it's a world war with nuclear powers, I think at some point somebody will say, screw it. That's my fear.
Yeah, sure.
I just don't know what the answer is. I mean, I truly don't know. I mean, I read today, maybe I heard today, that the objectives are to, supposedly they have enough uranium purified to 60%, which I guess is weapons grade, to do like 16 nuclear warheads. They want to make sure that is neutralized, disposed of. They want to make sure that their long-range missile program is neutralized and gone. And they're going to do everything they can to take out, what is the guard there? Some guard there, like their special forces.
I'm not even sure.
That they're going to want to take them out too. And those seem like pretty good objectives, but can we do all of those objectives without putting lots of boots on the ground? That's what I don't know, and that's what I don't want to have happen.
Yeah. Yeah. When it comes to, I don't know, I guess when it comes to militarily, to me, it's always tough because, of course, I want safety and security. I think you brought up a good point. Most people want safety and just want food and shelter and to raise their kids happily and for their kids to be better than they are. Now, and I'm pretty sure that's consistent.
Yeah,
99.9% around the world is what people want, right? But when it comes to militarily and America's obsession with calling all the shots is just always so strange to me, because I feel we are the motivation. When I mean we, the American and military industrial complex is the motivation for the entire world to continue to try to arm themselves to the T. And when you are a nation that has all of these bases around you that are ready to strike at you, I think that just continues to amplify your want or need to try to keep advancing your arms and advancing your arms.
Well,
to whereas I just think we make people more aggressive than they would rather be. And I think that around the world, like, we encourage so much aggression with, I think, just our stance and our posture of how many bases around, or how many bases surround it, how many bases just our posturing, whether it's to any nation.
I mean, I think we need to close some of our bases around the world, a lot of them. I think that probably would scare the shit out of some countries, that the U.S. doesn't have a base there, so they got to defend themselves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How many bases do you suppose we have?
Well,
so we have between 750 and 800 bases across more than 80 countries and territories.
Even more when Ron Paul was mad about it. But
look at all of them we added in the Middle East in the last 20 years.
It's just been a bunch, I'm sure.
Oh.
So, but that's what I'm saying is, well, it's not all of what I'm saying, but it's a big thing. Of course, that comes to the national debt and the budget and all that, right? That just inflates it. Now, I do know a lot of people make a living with the military, and there's a lot of contractors, and a lot of people are getting jobs from all these things. I understand. That's why it's called the military industrial complex, because it is an industrial complex. But I just am a person that believes that we can change those out and exchange those warring industrial big proliferation companies into things that don't include war. We just don't have to manufacture war. That being said, I don't know another nation that is as active and as aggressive as America has been when it comes to acquisition of just doing what they want, taking over new places, making lies to go bomb a place or to go into a place. I mean, that list has been hefty.
Well, you have
since I've been in high school.
I mean, you've got 3 world superpowers: United States, China, and Russia.
Okay.
And I think that I would hope in the next 10 years that the United States could close half their bases in Europe, and Europe could defend themselves. I mean, that's kind of been part of the problem since the end of World War II, that we have been the backbone of NATO, which NATO, I think, had a lot of great things going for it. But we became the primary police through that.
In the purse?
Yeah, in the purse. I mean, I think Europe, I mean, their economy is about the same size as Russia. And you look at all the European countries, and
Russia.
we have enabled them, good or bad, to not spend money on their military and because we were going to be there for them. And so they've done a lot of other things like healthcare for all, universal healthcare, like other things,
College,
free college, things because they weren't spending on their military the way we were. Is that right? Is it wrong? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I don't know the right answer to that, but it seemed to me like we were putting a lot more effort into defending and to being part of globalism than worried about home. I mean, I get frustrated when we talk about homelessness and we talk about some of our other problems that we have that are really, really, I think, significant cultural and mental health and physical health and issues within our country.
Yeah.
But we're a big debtor nation, and we've got to figure out how to not do that, how to not be that debtor nation.
And I yes, definitely. And we could definitely start at those bases and with some military tightening up of the belt. But that doesn't, I guess that just doesn't fit what our strategy has been, as in being this world superpower. Now, when you look at a place like China, they just, and believe me, right? I live in America for a reason, because I have the choice. I could go try to immigrate to another place, okay? And I've heard some great things about China. But then again, I also, I'm also aware that, there's certain freedoms in America still that are better than almost any place.
Yeah.
And maybe any place, but almost any place, right?
So.
But what I was going to say about China really, really quick is that it just doesn't feel like they're involved in as many conflicts as us.
Ishma, they're they're involved behind the scenes. I mean, it's the Chinese and Russian missiles that they've been firing at our bases over there that Iran has.
So if they're selling things to Iran, cool. When's the last time that we heard of Chinese forces, boots on the ground in any Middle Eastern country taking one over? Like, for example, Syria, Libya, like, for example, Iraq, Afghanistan.
Well, see, that's the
like
big...
I'm just saying, like, it doesn't seem like China ever is out in front of, you know what I mean, like a real takeover.
But the Chinese, and I shouldn't just say the Chinese, the Asian culture plans long term. They plan 100 years out. Hell, we have an election with a different party and different president every 4 years, potentially 8 years maximum.
And other people 2 years.
Yeah. And in China, how long has Xi Jinping been in power? I mean, they don't have those, in those dictator, communist, whatever regimes, however you want to bundle it, they stay in there a long time. So they're playing a really long game. The Chinese
But
plan
that's
things
just
out.
China. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm seeing like those other countries, like, they be fighting. They be, doing things. But I just feel like China has just like been stacking and sitting behind the scenes. They're not out in front. They're not taking over a country.
They're selling
They're
stuff.
not putting all their money into what you call it. They're stacking bread.
So who
I think.
So in the industrial, in the military industrial complex, all of these guns, bombs, all the stuff is done. It's manufactured here. Who's selling it?
I don't know.
It's
People like Nicolas Cage and God of War.
well,
or what? Like, I'm just saying, that's the underground
behind
shit,
the
right?
scenes stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's happening.
That's the underground shit.
Underground, shipped.
But like what I'm saying, okay, like when Lockheed Martin makes one of those dope cruise missiles that can fly 20 miles or some shit, right? We make that in a factory somewhere in Virginia, maybe maybe, or maybe in Massachusetts or wherever the fuck it is, right? Then
I think Denver actually, but
Denver this time. Crazy, right? Crazy. The liberals are making missiles. Okay. So, but then and it's probably employing a lot of people. So sad.
and General Dynamics. I mean, you know, they make the Patriot missiles.
So sad. Okay. So that goes off to go kill people. When America wants to sell one to Ukraine, that's just what? That's just front hand, right? Like the government sells it to the government. We get an invoice from the Ukrainian government.
Well, no, typically,
or other way around.
I mean, from my knowledge,
How does that work?
I mean, like right now, we've been selling to NATO, and NATO has been distributing to Ukraine.
So we sell to NATO.
But
NATO.
But I do know.
Wait,
that,
but who buys? Hold on. My bad. Let's stay here for a second because this is new. This is new to me. I haven't followed this rabbit hole. We sell to NATO. Where does NATO get the money?
Well, it's coming from us and all the other. It's coming from us and all the other NATO members.
I'm just saying.
I mean, it's coming from us and the other NATO members.
So what's crazy is it's coming from NATO taxpayers, and we're the biggest NATO taxpayer.
We were. I mean, that's shrinking.
So it's
because everybody else having to.
The American people, again, we paid to buy the bomb from an American-made company. Then we paid it to buy the bomb to give it to NATO, so NATO could then give it to.
We sell Ukraine. Well, right now we're selling it to NATO.
Sell it. That's what
that's different. We
gave. I meant sell.
We gave a lot away early on in the Ukraine war,
but still, so we're selling it. It just seems like
it's control.
But that seems like a conflict of interest, right?
It's global control.
Like, how can I?
And it's the technology that's here. I mean, it's no different than the Patriot missiles. You know, General Dynamics.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy.
I mean, some of the missile systems and stuff that are built in Nebraska here by defense contractors, and they'll sell direct to other foreign entities after the U.S. government signs off on it.
The government sign off, then anybody can come and get some.
Well,
so like my man,
it's
so
specific.
like Omar from from over here could come and buy some if the government signs off.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, that's Israel. I mean, that's how Israel gets 99% of their stuff.
Big. We didn't talk about Israel because I wasn't trying to get blocked on the thing when it came to any of what they may have to do with anything. But you know what? I don't even get into that anymore because at the end of the day, you know how I've been working on control what you can control. And I can't control another nation. All I can control is the nation I pay taxes to.
Well, and that's minimal control.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a vote.
Yeah. A vote, pay my taxes so I can complain and, try to keep a gun right.
I don't know where it's going to end. I mean, at some point, hopefully it's not in my lifetime or your lifetime or any of my grandkids' lifetime, but at some point, we're going to have some serious Armageddon stuff that's not going to be pretty.
Maybe it won't get there because people are going to get smart and more empathetic, and people are going to be raised to believe that a person is worth more than a profit, and that treating people like your neighbor is the way to go, and inviting strangers is the way to go, and even turning the other cheek is going to be widespread.
And I agree with all of that.
It's going to happen.
And at the same time, and I see it on social media stuff, where people who are like, absolutely, we can't be deporting any immigrants, and then that same person saying, okay, so I've got 4 guys here that need a place to stay for 6 months to get on their feeling. Well, I don't have room at my house.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you talk about the housing, during that 4-year period, approximately 10 million people came in.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if we put 100 of them in each house, that took up all the housing inventory of our country.
Sure.
And so what happened with housing prices?
Right. And I think that part of that, like treating or, loving your neighbor and accepting strangers and all that, part of that whole mindset is a mindset that wouldn't allow you to let private equity corporations buy up single family homes, right, to raise prices. Or a part of that wouldn't have allowed us to go and have 800 bases, but instead focus on infrastructure at home and building thousands upon thousands of affordable homes. So we wouldn't even be in a crunch anyway, to where we'd be like, this housing thing is figured out.
Well, the problem, I mean, the private equity involvement was the 2008 bailout of housing.
Correct.
And then they figured out, well, shit, we can buy enough of these. We can make a shit ton of money off it. And so that's what they did. And wrong. Profits before ethics.
Yeah.
But that's our capitalist society.
I understand people want to make money, and I do too. I do just, again, I want to believe that it's going to get to a point where people care about people so much that even our leaders make those decisions that prioritize people and values and morals, over what's happening. I mean, that's the only other option we have other than Armageddon.
Well, the one thing that we do know that has been part of our world forever is there are really two things. There's good and there's evil. Okay. And regardless of what happens, if it's 90% of the people that go that way and you've still got 10% of the people doing evil, it's hard to flush it out. I mean, I know what you're saying, and I agree with you, that we should love thy neighbor and we should do all those things. But we're humans, so people have a bad day, and that reflects poorly on that day to somebody else. And then that creates that evil and that hate and discontent. And it's just, for whatever reason, it spirals. And then on top of it, then we say, well, this person may have some mental illness. So what do? We give them drugs that create the problem to go worse. We're really good, and I shouldn't get down the medical rabbit hole, but just simply, we're really good about trying to treat a symptom.
Yeah, of course.
We're not very good about trying to cure things.
No, most definitely. I mean,
it's the pharmaceutical industrial complex is maybe as bad or worse than the military industrial complex.
Yeah, they're definitely on the hold my beer type thing. But I do also think that at some point humans must start vibrating at a higher frequency. And I think that does happen. I think it's happened before. We don't have it it's part of that lost history that Graham Hancock keeps talking about. But I don't know if you ever seen him on Joe Rogan or whatnot, but that's my guy, Graham Hancock. But part of that lost history of when we were at a higher frequency. And I'm not saying that it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to see 100% of people being good. Another thing is, I know that being good is contagious, and that if one person is having that bad day, it's really hard to be just super mean and bad to someone who's just being so good and nice to you. Eventually it just rubs off. And I do think that at some point we're going to get there.
But as humans, I mean, we're always going to have bullies. I think we're always going to have good and evil. I mean, I think the devil is as hard as work as anything else.
Maybe it'll be so unacceptable that it's not. Again, I go back to, for example, my brother tells me about in the past in their tribe, and it was a Lakota tribe, and they didn't have a word in their language with this culture. And this band of people with their distinct cultural ties may have only been 10,000 people, maybe. But 10,000 souls is important, of course. But when they were working to translate the word lie from English to the language, they're trying to find the word for lie, lying to someone, being untruthful. There just was not a word. They couldn't translate that word because it was so much in the culture that you just don't lie. Meaning, once you were not a kid anymore and you understood and could comprehend, you always just told the truth. And that was, from his report, one of the big ways that those natives here in the plains and some of these cultures were taken advantage of so grossly by deals was because they couldn't understand that you would make a deal or say you're going to do something but then not stay on it, not stand with it. So it's like, hey, here's the deal. We won't cross this line. Here's your hunting grounds. Here's what you can do. And then 2 years later, they find something. So now we're just going to come and take it. Now it's war. Now it's like, no, you're not supposed to go against this. You're a man of your word. So that's I think what I mean about that is it's hard to even imagine that. And there was a movie that was made about that where there's this alternative universe when nobody has ever told a lie. And then the first lie was told and the guy could just go to the bank and say, actually, I have $1 million. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry, we must be wrong here. And the bank gives them $1 million because in this alternative universe, nobody ever lied. And so for us, I think it's hard to even imagine that. But there's proof of cultures that have been there because there was not even a word for lying in the culture. So I think the experiences like that, or stories like that, make me really want to believe that we can have a society that has a culture over time so much that kindness and integrity and these values are just the way people are.
Well, and forever there were cultures where if you stole something, they cut off your hand.
Sure. Now that's another extreme.
I mean, that's,
like, I was talking about the good extremes.
I know.
Why you bring the cutting off hands shit, man?
But I'm just... the realism of humans and human natures, everybody has a different experience across the entire world.
Yeah.
And it's not the same. I mean, I can remember like when I was in Singapore, I mean, it was like, hey, don't spit your gum out on the ground because they'll take you to jail for that. And if you steal anything, I don't care if it's a piece of candy, they can put you in jail for a long time and even execute you. So, there's these cultures that are so diverse.
Yeah.
The problem is, part of the problem is, I shouldn't say the problem because that makes it way too simple, is that we think in the United States that everybody should be within this box. And not everybody's been in that box or wants to be in that box or even know what the hell that box is. I mean, that's kind of part of our problem of people that come here from other cultures, come in legally or illegally. They don't understand our culture. I mean, some people think that if I stand in line to get something free, it doesn't really matter because I'm staying in line to get something free. It doesn't matter if I'm a multi-billionaire, I'm going to stand in line or have somebody stand in line to get this because it's free. Well, that's not normally how we think about things, but other cultures think about things like that.
Or is it? I think about all subsidies or tax breaks for billionaire corporations, and that's like a proverbial soup line,
Yeah.
I mean, it's taking charity.
But
I'm just saying like, no, but I know what you're saying.
But when I look at our tax scheme, because our IRS system is really a scheme.
Sure.
When you've got the 50% paying 100%, and corporations are paying another third, so 2/3 of our, it's more than that. I think it's like 3/4 of our runs our government comes from personal income tax and from corporate income tax. Well, most all that personal income tax came from a corporation. So it's a, I don't know. I wish we could get to a flat tax or a sales tax or something to make it more transparent and simple. I mean, I shouldn't have to pay somebody $800 to do my taxes.
But what they said, there's 3,000 pages of tax code now or something.
Probably more than that.
And of course it if you the more wealthy you are, the more you have to pay someone to go through that code and to make it better. But I'm not even tripping on the tax code because I don't, I'm not tripping about exactly taxes. Maybe I did say tax breaks, but sometimes it's just we take not only big corporations take government or taxpayer money in other ways as well, or even charity money. But I dig it because I think it's like if you go to Japan, from what I've heard from you, like in Japan, if you're standing in line, like, cutting a line would be like unthinkable, right?
Yeah.
Or being pushy or being shovey would be unthinkable, right? But then if you're trying to, like if you're in India or something, at some place, like if you don't shove your way on the bus or on the train, you're not going to get on it, right? Or here, I think we like to think that we're polite. Definitely Midwest. I feel like we're more polite, right? And it's like you wait your thing in line. And I understand. But if you're coming from maybe a country where it was you stand in line for your rations and it'll run out, so you better get there and get as much as you can, then you're bringing that different cultural awareness here, which doesn't match even just the Midwest.
Yeah.
Maybe it matches New York.
I don't know. I mean, they had a long line for their 2-day free grocery store.
New York. You know what I'm saying? But for real, like maybe it matches New York or maybe it matches some of these other places. I just know Nebraska's a little different.
Yeah. So the U.S. tax code is 6,800 pages of statute, but then includes the federal tax regulations and official guidelines exceeds 70 to 75,000 pages.
Like how? Like, what are you supposed to do with that?
That's why the accountants
get money.
Yeah, I mean that's why
what
they're
are you
worth it.
Supposed to do with that? Like, what can you do with that, Paul? I mean, you're really good with understanding new things happening about taxes, to make for sure that you're paying the proper amount, and we're always trying to pay the proper amount of taxes. How is that even legal? Like, why?
That's our government. I mean, that's why they've been trying to come up with
Wouldn't you think that's
a postcard tax system?
Okay. What's stopping an administration that owns the House, the Senate, and the executive branch? What's stopping them from changing the tax code?
Probably nothing if they actually own it, but we haven't had complete ownership of an administration.
That'll tell us.
I think it's Obama.
Where's Chat? Where's Chat at? Obama didn't change the tax code to make it simple?
Oh, he added to it.
Oh, man.
ACA.
Oh, darn. Oh, darn diggity. Try to give health care. Make sure people are tracked by more health care. And you add it to the tax code, huh? It happens, I guess. It happens. Another thing is, if everyone was to pay the same amount of tax, is that really fair? That's the other question. So remember, what's his Herman Cain's 999, right?
Mm-hmm.
I remember that. I remember Herman Cain. Was he Little Caesars or Godfathers? What was he? Like he owned a big pizza.
I think he was the
chain.
president of Godfathers.
President of Godfathers. Yeah, I know he was the big.
I mean, Godfathers was owned originally by Willie Thiessen here in Omaha. Started by him.
So was it that big of a deal then, nationwide, for him to be owning? Maybe. Whatever.
Oh yeah. I mean,
it's a big deal.
He sold
it's
it
a
off.
big deal.
I mean, he lived down by Buffett down in Regency. Yeah.
That's nice.
Willie
Nice for
Thiessen.
him. Nice for him. So did that tell us something? So. Yeah, but I'm always wondering, is that the way to go? Should a billionaire only pay 9% tax, the same as a single mother? But a single mother would get the write-offs anyway. But or say, okay, if you make $100,000 a year, as a person, should you pay 9%, the same as a billionaire?
Yeah, I think that's probably, as long as there's no deductions involved. I mean, that's where the tax code gets long.
Yeah, of course. But just where the flat rate, like, it's like on if you made $1 billion after taxes, or after deductions, you made $1 billion. right? Like after all your expenses and everything, you actually made $1 billion.
So,
Do you think you should get taxed 9% the same way a person who says 100,000?
That's an interesting that you said.
Okay.
So are we going to tax revenue or are we going to tax profit? So that's a big difference. So today,
Okay.
businesses are taxed on profit,
Okay.
not on revenue.
Yes.
As a citizen, we are taxed on revenue. And then they deduct down and we end up with our profit. That's why we have...
What do you mean as a citizen?
As our gross pay of $100,000.
Give an example for me and the people. A citizen taxed on revenue.
So let's use this. So a corporation, $10 billion of revenue.
Mm-hmm.
Probably a good corporation, they're getting somewhere between $1 and $2 billion in profit. So what are you going to tax them on? Are you going to tax them on the revenue or on the profit? As a person, I get taxed on really my profit because my revenue and my profit are the same. I don't have a margin in there.
Like if I'm just working.
Yeah, if I'm working, I'm a W-2 employee. So it's an interesting piece. And then how do you fund Social Security and all of our other social safety nets?
9% wouldn't be enough?
I don't know. I would
From
guess,
everybody? If everybody's across the board, 9%.
Well, everybody, so that's probably the other part of it. But so everybody that's working today, 15% is being paid in. You're employed, you're paying in 7.5%, your employer's paying 7.5%. If you're own the business, you're just a single man roofer, you're paying 15% as a farmer even of Social Security. So we've added so many different levels of taxes, because even if you're poor, even if you're making below poverty and you're getting a paycheck, you're paying 7.5% in Social Security and you're paying the 1.6% of Medicaid or Medicare in. No matter what you make, you're paying that. If you're getting a W-2 check, you're paying that.
So
FICA.
So if a 9% all across the board isn't enough to cover all that?
It probably depends on if you get rid of all the deductions and stuff. It probably is enough.
And then you got to get rid of all of the military bases. Goes back to military bases. Because we don't have how many people have said, I know the tax code is one thing, but to get enough tax revenue, they're always saying we don't have a revenue problem. We have a
spending problem.
Bang, bang, right?
Yeah, we definitely need to rein in our budget. I don't look... Medicare nor Social Security should be over its time since it started, it should have a surplus of money still. I was just looking today, and from what I paid in and what my employer paid in, it was almost $400,000.
What do they give you?
Well, if I wait till I'm 67, I think I can get $4,000 a month.
So that would give you 48 a year?
Yeah.
And you have to live at least, what, 9 years?
7.8 years. 7.8 years.
Like he knows it. 7.8 years, my bad. So that happens for you, but for so many people it doesn't.
Yeah.
Not even gets close. I'm just saying, for so many people are just already,
and we didn't.
Can't believe how many of my friends are dying.
And why we capped it. We capped Social Security. We said, okay, if you make more than X number of dollars a year, you're only going to pay your Social Security on this much of the wage. Anything above that, you're not paying any Social Security.
You think they should just keep letting it go?
It should go all the way up.
No matter what.
If you're getting a $1 million W-2 of earnings, you should pay that 7.5% on all of it all the way up, and your employer should pay it. I mean, they talk about taxing corporations to save some of these things. That's the easiest one. Uncap it. Take the cap off of it. Or cap it at $10 million.
Yeah, something. But
the problem with that is it's the current Social Security formula. Then you have to pay out that much more when they get to those ages. Now, that would probably work still.
Because people just die.
Well, yeah, because people just don't live as long.
People just die. People just die. That's always interesting with the tax.
My dad drew Social Security for 36 months.
Jeez. That's rough. That's rough. That's rough. That's really rough.
My mom drew for 10 years.
That's a little better. But man, 36 months is tough.
My brother never drew.
Yeah. There's a lot of people. Like I said, I know so many people that are dying that are my age. It's like, wow. Like, people are just, it just happens.
I mean, the good news is they have survivor benefits if you got kids, you're married and that stuff. And that kind of goes on. And that's kind of the big mystery math is survivor benefits of when Cheryl draws being older than me versus when I draw for her survivor benefits. It's all based off. It's a numbers game.
It's like how much you pay. So,
and the problem is, to me, the problem is that there's a whole lot of people that don't understand that math and don't understand that numbers game, and so they do something that ends up costing them down the road.
I dig it.
It's the same thing with getting on Medicare and Medicare supplements or what you do on Medicare. I mean, they're learning a lot about that right now.
There's so much to it.
There is, and there's so much information out there, and I don't. Frustrating to me because there's so much information out there that you can go out and research and look at things, so that when you have the conversation with the Social Security Administration office is a great example. You should have your 10 questions lined out of what's important to you and your family long term.
Yeah.
But instead, you're listening to, I don't know, an hourly Social Security person on the other end of the phone who knows how to fill out this form.
Sure. It doesn't really know for the planning that you need.
Yeah.
That's really
for
tough.
the strategic planning that, and I know not everybody does it, I get it, but they should. That strategic planning, it becomes everything long term for your family, for the benefit of your family.
Well, I know it's really tough, I think, for a lot of just people in general, but some men who just kind of shy away from the planning of after they're gone. Right? They have this hard time accepting that, whether you want to accept you're going to die or, not going to be there, but it's better to accept things and work to have a plan out and make sure you're taking care of the people you want to take care of as well, in the absence. And of course, a lot of men still just don't do a life insurance policy, even if it's just term is just fine. Just get you a policy so that you're protected, or your family's protected, in the, in the event that the horrible thing happens, right? Like the raccoon, I ran into a raccoon the other day, dented up all the front of my car. And I thought about swerving.
This was a big coon. This wasn't a little coon. This is a big coon.
Big. The thing was like pregnant. And it literally messed up my whole bottom bumper. And it got quoted at like $4,200 worth of work. Another place quoted it a little bit less. But anyways, and I was thinking, man, I could have swerved to miss this thing. I should have just swerved. That's what I kept telling myself. But then I think about it like, well, you could have swerved to your death, or you could have took that little bump on the, on the bumper. But something that easy, right? You're driving home from doing what you usually do, and you swerve from the raccoon. I was going like 75 on the highway, and you swerve, and then all of a sudden you're into the embankment, you're into the big problem, and you're, and you die.
It was like me hitting the deer in South Dakota last year, pulling my boat, and the semi right next to me, man. I was smoking the deer.
See, and I could have probably swerved. It was later at night. It was like 10:30 at night, I think.
Mine was 1:00 in the morning, man.
But there's still a semi
out there, man.
A semi, right? No, a semi wasn't even by me. I probably could have tried to evade it, but I just didn't. It happened fast too.
Yeah, well, and sometimes swerving to avoid something gets way worse.
That's what I was thinking. So you know what? I just take it, but just like we're saying, you must plan for those things. And I know you're a big planner, and you really make for sure that you have things down to the T of like. I mean, I think Megan said only thing that they have to decide is what to serve as food at the party.
At the funeral, yeah.
And so, but think about how great that is that when that happens, the grieving can happen to where the people don't have to make weird decisions while they're trying to grieve their, the most important person of their life could be dead, and they're now worrying about bull crap.
Well, it was interesting when we were going through the process, and Cheryl wasn't ready to do that. And I said, honey, I'm doing this because I love you and I love our children. And I don't want you to have to make these decisions under stress. Because if you're making decisions under stress, that's never accurate.
Yes.
And it took her 4 years later to get settled down. We finally went and did it. But, to me, it was just, I know I'm going to die. I mean, if there's somebody out there that doesn't think they're going to, please let me know. But I know at some point,
it's going to happen.
Our chips are going to get cashed in. And I didn't want my family to be making those decisions under stress because I didn't think it was fair to them. They should be able to grieve or laugh or celebrate my life without having to worry about a decision about what are you going to do with my body and what, what songs does dad want and what readings does he want and, blah, 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 blah. I don't want him to have to worry about that. And we can update readings and things if we want to and we get older. And quite frankly, if the kids look at them and go, yeah, I don't really like that, I want to change it, they can change it. I mean, it's okay. But I wanted to have the bases covered, the piece of ground bought, and just have it behind it.
100%. I was at, unfortunately, a few funerals recently. And one of the funerals I was at one time, and I was thinking about music, and I said, I was at the funeral, and I texted Megan, I said, my funeral here, play these songs. Play this song. I want a Man in the Mirror. I said, don't just have some random person playing like play this song. It was something, this is I don't know, probably I think in the summer or something. I texted Megan, I was at a funeral, and I'm like, please play this song, when I'm there. But people, you don't think about that,
at the time,
but it's so much better if you think about it, get it done for your family. So if you're a man, if you're anybody, but man to man, make your plans and make sure that you have some life insurance so that your family is covered for sure. So it's not, so at least it's not a financial thing.
Yeah.
At least it's not a financial thing.
It's
because that's gross.
That was why, you guys have it. Each of our 3 kids, we bought them a life insurance policy when it went down as number 1, but it was before they were a year old, and paid into it for 30 years, and then signed it over to them, gave it to them. There's cash value there. It pays itself. It's ongoing, or they could continue to pay for it. But what it did do is it guaranteed them life insurance because they could double it whenever they wanted to. They could do different things. Because I wanted to guarantee insurability in case something happened to them and they couldn't get it.
Yeah, 100%. So think about that, y'all. Especially folks. Now, I know before we get out of here, we're going to tell the people how bad we've been doing at betting.
Good thing we have not been on picking basketball for y'all, because if we give you some picks coming up here in the next month or so, I would highly recommend doing the opposite.
Just do the opposite.
We've been getting kicked.
Luckily, we've been having fun.
Oh, yeah.
We've been having so much fun. And people, I think when I tell people that, they look at me like, huh? And I'm like, because it's fun to be involved and to do it and to talk about it and to text about it. And then there's always that, 1 out of every 7 or 8 bets that we get to say we won. And that, and now, oh man, how good are those?
But the value to me, the picking, the betting is really fun, But the value to me is you and I get to communicate almost daily.
Yeah.
Almost daily. And it's not always about that, but
No, but it
almost
sparks
daily.
something happening.
Yeah.
You know, it sparks the thing, and you start talking about other things. And no, but it's always a good excuse to stay up, you know, with each other, which is a good thing. I tell you what, it's a good thing. You know who really likes it is whoever is you know, the bet makers at Caesars and all those places. They really love that, you know, we bond over this.
Yeah.
They really love that. They're like, keep bonding, guys. Keep going.
Yeah.
Well, we're about to hit y'all pretty soon. We're going to hit y'all ass for the big time. Let's give them gut reaction right now. Huskers just got swamped by UCLA. What the F just happened?
Probably the worst game we played of the year. Maybe second to or worse than what we played in Iowa City.
Mm-hmm.
We do play Iowa at home Sunday, senior day, last home game of the year.
Are we going to step up for that game or what?
We're going to see. I mean, you
'Cause that's
and I
a
are going to
tough one
see.
to come off
I'm
of.
hoping the kids step up, and they're young men, and we often forget about that.
Yes.
They're young men.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
I do. You know, before we leave here, we did lose one of our own from Bellevue in our actions in Afghanistan, and I'll probably Sergeant Titajan. Heart goes out, Noah, for you and your family. Thank you for your service. So.
Only in Afghanistan, huh?
No, this was in part of the Iraq.
In Iran.
Yeah, I don't think he was in Iran, but he was in
Afghanistan. I thought he was still in Afghanistan. Okay, so in Iran.
Yeah, in Iran.
So stuff happened in Iran.
Yeah, we lost those 4 soldiers, and he was one of them.
Oh, really?
From Bellevue.
I'm very sorry that the government keeps putting y'all's sons and daughters in these stupid predicaments. That is. Hopefully, God stops our leadership from doing things like that. Because it didn't have to happen.
Military service is a calling for many, generational calling, kind of like police department or fire department. I mean, we have so many people in our country that have service-minded, and some serve, on boards or nonprofits, or some serve, where their life's on the line. And thank you all for your service, man.
Well, it's something that I sure didn't sign up for, and I wouldn't sign up for. But I could imagine that if I had a son or a daughter that wanted to serve in that way, how broken I would be if they lost their lives over unnecessariness.
Yeah.
How broken I'd be if they lost their lives over unnecessariness.
Man. Training accidents, shit happens.
It does, but it's different when it's a totally unavoidable thing. There's no reason for these young people to die.
And I think they just got a bomb dropped on them somewhere.
They're in one of those bases, right? There's no reason, because there's no reason why any of those bases should be hostile. And they weren't, and they didn't have to be until we did an unprovoked act. And this is, it tears, those walls are really hard to see, the Vietnam Wall.
Oh, yeah.
In DC.
DC.
And there's one for Korea, right? And
memorials all over for World War I, World War II.
So, but
I'm going to go to Normandy.
Yeah, but it's like when these truths come out, like for example, even like Vietnam, why do we continue? All those names on that wall, unnecessariness. Now, I don't want any more walls. I don't want these 4 people to be the start to a new wall.
Yep.
That's it's so unfortunate. Their parents, their loved ones, or that's I automatically go to their parents because they're young, right? So
fairly young. He may have been married and have a family even. I mean,
come on, man. Yeah, so I mean, it just makes me, I guess I get a little bit upset because it just doesn't have to happen.
Some people, it's their calling, and God bless them for having the calling and being
But I don't
willing to
think
put
it's their but I don't think it's their calling for people to take advantage of their willingness to protect something.
Well, but they
You
know,
know, their willingness to protect something
they know when they sign up
that they could
that
have
there's a
a
probability.
really dumb leaders send them into stupid situations,
Well, even
or make something more dangerous than it has to be.
well, or even just being at the wrong place at the wrong time and having bad outcomes. I mean, it happens every day in life.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I just, decisions, of course, have consequences. And I don't want anybody's kid to be a consequence of rich, arrogant people's decisions. That's it. That's a lot of arrogance that I think is causing so much of this disdain. It's just sad. No, it's very sad. It's very sad. So, yeah, like you said, heart and prayers go out to people that are could have been the best of people trying to do the best of things, and then all of a sudden it ends.
Don't know the circumstances. Don't know the how, what, whys. I mean, it's no different than when your neighbor dies of a heart attack or cancer and's gone in 2 months. I mean, the whys and the hows. It's always kind of. I've always been that believer. When your number comes up, your number comes up. So.
Well, there is
but
that.
Anyway,
I mean, there is that, right?
Yeah.
People say God's will and those things,
but I just wanted to give a shout out to them.
100%, 100%. Prayers to their families and
one of our own Nebraskans. So
yeah. Prayers to all the families. Hey, hold on though, before we leave, Pops. Let's not end on a sad note with the people that we lost. Let's not end on
that's true
on that. And we left on a sad note on sports with the Huskers getting trounced by UCLA. Let's not end like that. Hold on. All right. If you watch college basketball out there, I'm going to do a little meme for this. College basketball, there's a lot going on. I think Duke is the best team in the nation. Who do you think is the best team in the nation right now, Pops?
Right now, today, Duke, Arizona.
Okay, Duke, Arizona. Arizona played really good yesterday against Iowa State, too. Okay. Who do you think is the Final Four? Who's your Final Four? It is March 4th, 2026. Who's your Final Four?
Well, I think 3 of the 4 1 seeds will get in, which will probably be Michigan, Duke, Arizona. Who's the 4th going to be? It's not going to be. I can't even tell you the 4th are, but those would be my 3 that I'm saying that are going to get to the Final Four.
Oh, that's nice. Those are some tough teams. What do you think about Houston?
I don't think they can get there. I don't think they can get to the Final Four.
Ooh. Look, tell me who you think your Final Four is. Pops, I like your 3. I like your 3
there's
a lot.
Lot of scary teams out there.
I like your 3 a lot. Iowa State's a scary team. The Huskers are a scary team. Nobody wants to play the Huskers. I think Iowa State's defense is tremendous.
Michigan State.
Michigan State's a sleeper.
I don't know if they've got the horsepower.
Now, nobody's talking about Florida.
Florida's another
They're rocking right now. Florida's not that same Florida that did us dirty at the casino.
No.
Florida is a different Florida. So I put Florida in that Final Four. I think that we have to have a sleeper like a Nebraska, like a Iowa State. Someone who plays great defense and gets hot, can score the ball. So I'm going to put a Nebraska sleeper. And I don't even know what the bracket's going to look like, but forget it.
Yeah.
Nebraska, a Florida. I like Duke. And then whoever else people like. But, I'm not against Arizona either. Arizona's a good freaking team.
All I know is
UConn?
I want the Huskers. UConn could definitely get there. They'll probably be a number 1 seed.
Are the Huskers going to win their first game? Are they going to win a game in the tournament?
Huskers are going to win their first game and get that monkey off their back. I will predict that.
Win a game.
We're going to win a game in the tournament.
Win a game. Sweet 16 would be so cool.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
Playing the second weekend is really cool.
100%. Sweet 16 could happen in this. And here's what I want to do. I want us to live stream We'll see if they let us do it. If they tell us to stop, we'll stop. We're going to try to live stream from the casino on the opening weekend. We're going to live stream from the casino, y'all. If they tell us to stop, they tell us to stop, whatever. But we're going to do it. And we're going to go tough. We're going to watch some games, smoke a cigar, and see it happening.
And enjoy each other's company and enjoy life, because it's precious and can be short, folks. So love you all. Thank you for listening. Throw some comments back. I mean, if we're way off base on something in your opinion, please let us know, man. Because we're
not off base.
I love some naysayers. I love some naysayers, man. And I know I'm not the smartest guy in the room ever.
We're obviously smarter than the people that are deciding how the direct conversation is going for people who have criminal records or whatever going on. So no, sorry guys. Hey, but no, seriously, we're not gonna have a hiatus like that again. We're gonna get back to this thing, having these good conversations right down the middle of the street, no agenda, just good talk.
Love y'all. Peace out.